2023 Comparison Review 2023 Toyota GR86 vs 2023 Mazda MX-5. Two affordable sports cars, one focused and one fun. But of the Mazda MX-5 and Toyota GR86, which is our pick? The electric revolution is in full swing. Makers of regular cars and SUVs, such as Volvo, are already completely committed, but sports cars aren't immune. The Lamborghini Aventador's replacement will be a plug-in hybrid, PHEV, Ferrari's new sports car. The 296 GTB is also a PHEV, and even the likes of Renault Sport is soon to be Alpine, will be producing EVs exclusively. Put aside the decreasingly distant threat of electrification, and the SUV has already arrived in full force. Ferrari's Purosangue, Ford killing the Fiesta, and with it the excellent ST hot hatch, and even Lotus entered the SUV game for goodness sake. Colin Chapman would be turning in his grave. It's this context that makes setting a silly early morning alarm to meet Nathan Ponchard at Berora Ample rather exciting. We've arrived to Brimfill, a brace of bespoke, two-door sports cars you can buy right now for about $50,000. Sure, one of them has been around for a while, the MX-5 hit ounce in September 2015, and Toyota's new GR86 is a heavily revised version of the 2012 86, but come on, does it get much better this side of $100,000? Well, you could argue it does, with the new Nissan Z and a manual Supra here now, and Honda's FL5 Civic Type are launching shortly, not to mention the rest of the hot hatch crew. Driving enthusiasts are still spoiled for choice. But today isn't about celebrating what we have, it's about deciding which of these two is best. Pricing and features. Neither car is cheap for what they offer on a spec sheet. Small screens, manual seat adjustment and negligible boot space are common themes, but to be fair, that isn't why you buy them. We have the most focused variants from both brands. In Mazda's case, that's the $47,320, before on-road costs, Roadster GT SP. The SP is the latest addition to a now 7-strong MX-5 range and can be identified by lightweight 17-inch BBS alloys, German Bilstein dampers and red Brembo 4-piston front brake calipers clamping 280mm discs. The 2023 GR86 GTS manual is $45,390 before on-road costs, the same as the Auto, which is one reason to buy a BRZ and can be told apart from the GT by anthracite 18-inch alloys, two-tone, ultra-suede upholstery, red stitching and adaptive LED headlights. The Mazda MX-5 has a 7.0-inch touchscreen that now runs wireless Apple CarPlay, but wired Android Auto, built-in SatNav, and DAB+ digital radio. The gauges may not have a digital speed readout, but they are attractive even if the Speedo's font verges on too small. A 230W 9-speaker Bose sound system is fitted to the MX-5 Roadster SP, and although okay at low speed, it's certainly not powerful enough to overwhelm 100 km/h of wind rushing over your head. Inside the GR86, things have improved markedly for the new-gen car with a crisp 8.0-inch touchscreen featuring shortcut buttons, wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's also a very easy-to-read digital instrument cluster with several displays and clear speed readout. Comfort and space. The Mazda MX-5's cabin immediately presents as a more premium space. The attractive, larger diameter steering wheel, that would look at home in a Resto Mod Milligram B, is wrapped in high-quality leather. It also has leather seats, squishy secondary materials and, when finished in Soul Red Crystal, or another bright hue, an engaging pop of color courtesy of the color-matched door tops. This looks tacky in a small SUV but suits the MX-5. Ergonomics and practicalities are not the MX-5's forte. Even if the cup holders are a clever solution, heavier bottles have a tendency to slip out under hard cornering. The token space under the armrest is just big enough for the MX-5's key fob, and the recess under the center stack doesn't really fit a modern smartphone. At least the lockable cubby between the seats is a nice touch. At 188 cm tall, I'm also right on the MX-5's height limit with just enough headroom, and the seat on the last click of the sliders. Luckily I'm skinny, because the cockpit is intimate as well. The seats look comfy, but on long stints I found them to lack lumbar support, resulting in a sore lower back. In contrast, the GR86 driving position had me worried initially, as its two-stage heated, ultra-sweet appointed seats don't have as much tilt or under-thigh support as I'd want, but over hours and hours of driving, they never grew uncomfortable. There is the feeling Toyota redesigned the seats, widening the bolsters, perhaps to make the GR86 more accommodating for larger frames than the snug 86. The GR also loses the facelift 86 lovely triangular soft pads that kept the driver's left knee protected during hard cornering. Strange. And then there's the baby elephant in this coupe, there being a pair of seats in the back that are actually usable. Not comfortable, but functional, and having that extra flexibility if this is your only car cannot be overstated. The GR86 237L boot is also miles more useful than the MX-5 Roadster's 130L. Fold the seats and you can fit 4 spare tires when you're going to the racetrack, too. On the road. As I arrived at the meeting spot in the GR86, having already enjoyed the privilege of spending a few days punting it around town, I chose to swap into the MX-5 for the first leg of the comparison. It was a mellow start with smooth, constant radius turns of the old Pacific Highway unraveling behind slow traffic. Despite a subdued pace, the MX-5's body was still wriggling and moving around. The Roadster's easier clutch, longer throw 6-speed manual and more refined engine are second nature to the driver. It's true, the MX-5 is fun at all speeds. There's an effortlessly to the GR86 chassis that invites you closer to your limits, rather than indulging in the process of each corner. As the road opened up, the MX-5's, beautifully presented, 135 kilowatts per 205 Nm 2.0-liter naturally aspirated engine could flex its muscles. The MX-5's midlife update really sweetened the big block up with a seriously high redline, allowing you to indulge in second gear up to the 7,800 RPM fuel cut. Putting more load through the MX-5's chassis reveals how the firmer Bilstein dampers have tied the MX-5's body down. Not so it doesn't roll, it definitely does, but some of the standard car's occasionally unnerving vertical pitch is minimized. The ride is firmer without compromising control. For 2022, Mazda also introduced Kinetic Posture Control, KPC, that breaks the inside rear wheel to tug the Roadster's nose into the apex a little tighter. All manual MX-5s still have a mechanically locking rear difference. Does it work? Sort of. Except that after a hard run up and down our back-to-back hill climb, the MX-5 left a distinct odor of warm brake pads wafting through the Hunter Valley. This also comes down to an overly grabby escape tune that seems to have been amplified by the raised grip limit granted by the Bilstein dampers. Over a scabby patchwork of potholes, the MX-5's tiller skips in your palms, while the Toyota's will reminds you of the bumps, but doesn't kick back like the Mazda's. The Toyota's firm brake pedal, meaty gearshift, and sharp throttle inspire you to get to work immediately. That sharper 2.5-turn lock-to-lock rack makes the GR86 front end feel ultra-responsive too. But the GR86 doesn't flow like the MX-5. Where the Roadster fluidly rolls, dips and slides on its 205/45 R17 Dunlop Sport Max tires, the GR86 stance is more punctuated. There's a flow to be found, but it's a staccato one as the GR86 eggs the driver to brake harder, turn in faster, hit the gas sooner. There's an effortlessly to the GR86 chassis that invites you closer to your limits, rather than indulging in the process of each corner. The GR86 engine is stronger, too, with a handy lump of extra mid-range punch accompanied by a tuneful, if rather fake, soundtrack. Outright pace between this pair isn't too different on paper, with Toyota claiming a 0 to 100 km/h sprint of 6.3 seconds. And Mazda 6.5 seconds. You can put that down to the weight difference, the delicate Mazda bearing 238 fewer kilos than the 1,291 kilograms GR86. Look in the GR86, no longer frameless, review mirror and, well, there is quite a difference in real-world pace. Throw some twists in the mix, and the Mazda is nowhere to be seen. Toyota's GR86 feels like a tool for taking on a Targa Tasmania stage rather than a mellow Sunday drive in the countryside. The GR86 Focus can compromise its fun factor. Where the MX-5e and also the Subaru BRZ give a wider envelope of neutral, throttle-adjustable steer mid-corner without finding understeer, the GR86 is edgier. That said, the new car has lost none of the old 86 throttle steerable antics, even on grippier 215/40R18 Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires. But when you get too greedy on the throttle in a higher speed corner, the GR86 is more likely to nibble at the front tires with a gentle, reassuring smidge of understeer. It punishes the driver, to a certain extent, where the MX-5 flatters aggressive movements. Ponch reckoned that by stiffening both cars the manufacturers had really made them worse on the road, and that's probably true. In any case, just like its predecessor, the GR86 is subtly asking the owner to come along and tweak it, dialing out that front-end push would only take a little extra front camber or stickier tires. The MX-5, though, is a more rounded, balanced package out of the box. Not only is it more approachable, it's also more fun. Except for the road noise. The Roadster's unbearable roar on coarse chip surfaces gets tiring very quickly. The GR86 isn't what you'd call serene, but it's much more tolerable. Safety. The Mazda MX-5 scored 5 stars in its 2016 ANCAP safety test. The Toyota GR86 has not yet been evaluated by the safety body, and Toyota has not indicated any intention to submit it for crash testing. Standard safety features fitted to the GR86 GT include 7 airbags, anti-lock brakes, stability control and a reversing camera. Not much in 2023. Automatic's GR86S get front auto emergency braking, rear parking sensors with low-speed reversing AEB, adaptive cruise control and lane departure warning. The tested GTS adds rear cross-traffic alert and blind spot monitoring for both manual and automatic transmissions. The Mazda MX-5 safety suite is a little fuller, including forward and reverse AEB with pedestrian detection, in the manuals, too. What gives Toyota blind spot monitoring, driver attention monitoring, rear cross-traffic alert and traffic sign recognition? Fuel efficiency. Though the Mazda's engine is a little less powerful, it's more fuel efficient. During testing, the Mazda consumed 9.0 L 100 km of petrol. When driving more sedately, the Mazda easily hits its official ADR combined figure of 6.8 L 100 km. The MX-5 will take a minimum of 95 RON unleaded petrol, though its high-compression engine prefers 98 RON. The GR86 will accept no less than 98 RON and return 9.6 L 100 km on our test loop. Not far off the GR86 combined ADR 8102 figure of 9.4 L 100 km. Around town, the GR86 is noticeably less efficient than the Mazda, returning closer to 10.0 L 100 km in the suburbs, and only getting down to about 8.0 L 100 km on the highway.